Many thanks for staying tuned. It's still the conversation here on Lagos Television. The first conversation we'll be having this morning is to take a look at the bill currently before the House of Representatives to jail eligible non-voters. Of course, the bill scaled the second reading last week, Thursday, and what the bill is proposing is to which was first introduced by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, proposes imposing a maximum of 6 months imprisonment or a fine of not more than 100,000 naira for Nigerians of voting age who failed to vote during elections. And like we said, that bill has passed the second reading at the House of Representatives. Now, at such a point in time in Nigeria, is this really what we need? And if, an amendment to the Electoral Act is what we're seeking, should this be part of what that amendment should be? We have a guest joining us on the conversation this morning via Zoom, and of course is the Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, Auwal Musa Rafsanjani. Thank you for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. Right, let's go straight into the conversation. Last week, Thursday, members of the House of Representatives passed for a second reading this bill proposing, of course, a jail term for Nigerians who failed to vote during elections. For you, how do you see this? What's your perception of this bill?
So, thank you very much. While we appreciate the concern by the sponsors of the bill that the Nigerian voting pattern continued to decline from 1999 to date, the last election had the least Nigerians voter coming out to really vote. There are reasons for this. Nigerians are losing confidence in the ability for the electoral body and the government to actually conduct an election that is seen to be free, fair, and credible. And therefore, many people who come out and vote really don't matter because you treat to democracy and electoral victory, whereby you may win, on the popular vote, but because of also connivance of politicians and corruption in the judiciary, is being alleged to be taking this mandate from the actual winners to people who do not even win, including people who do not even actually contest the election as defined by the Electoral Act. You see them emerging in various leadership positions.
Okay.
So therefore, many Nigerians are losing hope that what democracy promises to provide. Some people who have hijacked the power, they are doing something contrary to that, and therefore the interest of Nigerians is rapidly dropping on participating in the electoral process. This is because also the political parties are not actually helping matters. You do not actually have any political parties that is on the basis of ideology, that you could see that students in the university, they identify with particular political parties, ideology, direction. And even here in Nigeria, if you recall, in the Second Republic, we had 5 political parties that were very clear and everyone knows
All right, Auwal.
Stand for. But now we cannot say so.
Auwal, can you hear me?
With the current.
Hello. Can we try and see if we can re-establish connection?
The large number of the political parties that we have. So,
can we try and see if we can re-establish connection with you?
Electoral. I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. All right, go ahead. The network seems to be breaking, so we're going to see if we could reestablish connection with you. But if you can hear me, let's try again. You can keep speaking.
Hearing me? If you are not hearing me, then maybe there's a network problem. Otherwise,
Possibly.
I hear you very well.
Clearly. All right, you can continue. Let's try it again.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that there's a huge, democratic, backsliding as a result of electoral betraying, as a result of imposition of, elected officials who were not really actually the elected people at either party primaries or even at the election because of the role that the judiciary seemed to be doing or seem to be playing. So many Nigerians are losing hope and confidence. And of course, the democracy promises a lot of good things for Nigerians, but sadly, the current practice of democratic, actors is making Nigerians to lose that interest, and that is why there's a decline in the voting participation.
Okay.
So, what National Assembly should do is not really to come off with another punishment, but rather to even ask itself, political parties, are they engaging on their members to educate them, to sensitize them about even the electoral process? You will see that political parties are not doing voter education. Political parties are not, they are only interested in grabbing the power. And when they grab the power, there's no accountability.
Right.
So in this kind of context, it is difficult for you to compel people to come out to vote when they know that when they even voted, and the person they voted probably won the election, and then somehow kangaroo judicial corruption will take away that mandate.
Right.
So this is not really good, and for me, instead of coming up with this kind of punishment of jailing people, is to educate people, is to let them understand what democracy is all about and what election is all about, but not to really come up with the idea of punishing people who probably, for some reason, they feel that the democratic process, or rather the electoral process, is not, helpful to them.
Okay.
So I don't think punishing people, is the solution. I think is to restore the true, tenet of democracy. When Nigerians they see that democracy really, democratic practice really reflects the yearning and aspiration of Nigerians, electoral rigging, electoral violence, electoral corruption through judiciary, political party system, all this, if they are restored, Nigerians would definitely have no option than to come and be voting.
Right.
But if this is not in place, definitely the discouragement will continue.
Will continue. Ajibola.
Okay, from the body language of the lawmakers, you can see that they are very interested in this particular bill. So if at the end of the day it becomes a law in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, do you see it convincing Nigerians to come out and vote?
You see, the thing is that, sometimes some of our policymakers and lawmakers, they just do things for the sake of maybe probably doing it without looking at the repercussion, the consequences. What is the point of you to make a law that cannot be implemented? I can tell you that given the fact that Nigerians have lost confidence gradually in the electoral process, in the democratic process in Nigeria, it's going to be difficult for you to force them to come out and do that. Nowhere in the world where you ascribe this kind of punishment. What you do is you engage the people. You have institutions in Nigeria that could have helped to even train people, give them information about what democracy is all about and why they need to be participating in the democratic process. For example, you had democratic studies that was even introduced during the military regime. Why can't you have such kind of national institutions that will be primarily taxed to educate Nigerians about even the value of democracy? Now, as it is now, the only understanding Nigerians understand about democracy in Nigeria and election is to grab the power, whether legitimately, whether illegitimately, whether with violence, whether with the gun, whether whatever what means, you grab the power and use it for impunity and personal aggrandizement.
Right.
This is the message that unfortunately Nigerians are getting. Nigerians are not getting the message that democracy is a process that can usher Nigerians to participate fully in the democratic process of their country, contribute their quota, be responsible, have institutions that are not biased. You have security that's supposed to be serving all Nigerians, not a particular group of people or party or some VIPs. You have a judiciary that is neutral, that will look at things from the ethical and moral and legal perspective to ensure that justice is done. You have an electoral body that is supposed to be independent, that is not going to be guarded or influenced by any political actor.
Okay.
If you have all this, and you of course have political parties that have clear perspective and why they are actually asking Nigerians to vote for them. If you have all this in place, definitely you do not need to mobilize Nigerians to go on board. They will actually go on board because that is the only system in which they can either retain or replace a particular leader, not
Right.
through a gun or through anything.
Okay, Auwal, the co-sponsor of the bill, last Thursday did say that the reasons why the lawmakers are canvassing for this bill to be passed is for, while arguing that compulsory voting will deepen democracy, strengthen civic engagement, and reduce voter apathy. He also alluded to the fact that some countries of the world, mentioning country like Australia, have made voting compulsory in that country. So when we talk about, when we look at what's, what obtains in Nigeria and other democracies of the world, must we always do things because other countries have done them? And shouldn't we also be looking at homegrown solutions to our problems rather than looking at what has happened in other democracies, copying what is happening in other countries, when we can actually look at our own system and what may work for us as a country?
Well, part of the challenge that we have in Nigeria, you have Democrats, you have people who are practicing democracy, but they themselves, they appear not to understand democracy and they appear not to be actually Democrat themselves. Again, you also have people in leadership position in Nigeria who do not actually require requisite capacity and experience, to be able to come up with certain legal framework that is completely contradictory and difficult, even impossible to even implement. These are part of the challenges that we have in Nigeria. And once you have these kind of emergency leaders, they will always come up with a funny legal framework or policy framework that is laughable. If you say you're going to use force to force Nigeria to do this, how many policemen and women do you have in Nigeria to carry that enforcement? You have averagely you have over 200 million Nigerians. Supposing you even have half of that population coming to board, and with the number of policemen and women that you have, how many jail do you have? How many so this issue of threat, I don't think it is the right approach. I think the right approach is for the politician to be responsible and responsible. If Nigerians see that their leaders are not looters, their leaders are not engaging in impunity and recklessness and rascality, I am telling you, Nigerians would like to join and be able to identify themselves with a political party that can usher or that can materialize their aspiration and yearning, not through this force. If you are doing this, what is the difference between the military regime and democratic, system, which allows people to freely choose and, be involved, and people are not involved. Look at all the political parties. The members are not really fully being involved. There is no participation. There's no ownership. There's no real, stake, in those parties. So how in this context will now you be coming up with this kind of thing? I think they got it wrong.
Right.
And the idea of trying to be popular or trying to, show that they are lawmakers, I don't think it is the best way to go. I think they are actually ridiculing themselves by proposing
This bill.
Strengthening legislative or strengthening, electoral system does not mean this kind of thing. Where are the election riggers who have been fully executed, or prosecuted in this country? So they are okay with people to rig election, and they are not, concerned about the fact that people came out massively to vote for their choice, but they have been denied through fraudulent denial. They are not worried about that one. It is this one that is discouraging people because of the practice, of the actors. This is not really the best way to go.
Okay.
Okay, if the voting methods and the process is simplified in such a way that people can vote wherever they are, say for instance, making use of technology, will that change the apathy that we have witnessed lately?
Not just the simplification of the voting thing. If the electoral process remains that you can only participate when you have dirty money to participate, corrupt the system, hijack the mandate of the people, and engage in all sort of electoral violence, that will not change, and that will not encourage people to really participate. So the truth is that if you really want to have a change in the way and manner in which our electoral system is operating, then you cannot, do it through this use of force or use of threat to jail people. I think it is about really engaging. Like I mentioned, none of these political parties have department that Nigerians can see visibly engaging on electoral or voter education or civic education. It is only civil society you see them engaging the Nigerian people, and that shouldn't be the only role. The role of politician is not just to grab the power, engage in all sort of violence campaign, engage in all sorts of fake and dubious promises. That is not what political parties should be, or elected people should be doing. I think the legislators need to understand that even though they are mandated to make the law, but they have to consult Nigerians. Let Nigerians also hear their view. If the law is meant for Nigerians, Nigerians must speak, and their true reflection on the issue must be reflected in whatever legal framework you are coming up with. If you go and sit down and do this thing, you will end up ridiculing yourself. You will even see more decline. Already Nigerians are not interested now because they see that what they bought is not what they see. They see that no accountability. They see that there's a monumental looting and stealing, for people that are put into leadership positions through election or appointment. This cannot encourage Nigerians to come and be supporting looters or supporting people that will engage in impunity or recklessness. No, Nigerians will continue to stay away if this system and this practice continue to happen. So we need to dismantle the way and manner things are, and get Nigerians to really have confidence in our electoral system, our institutions. Because once Nigerians lose hope and confidence on the ability for our institution to deliver justice, to do the right thing, then we will continue to experience this apathy. We will continue to experience people not showing no interest in the electoral system. So rather than threat, let's walk the talk and bring more sanity and correct some of the practices that our politicians or elected officials are engaging with Nigerians.
All right, Auwal, I know you mentioned this in passing earlier, but one of the lawmakers also expressed the same fear. And going by what he said, he did say that though the bill was a good proposition and a good step towards entrenching civic responsibility, but he did say that he expressed the fear that the bill is one that is not workable, especially in a system that's where Nigerians are not, so comfortable with the current system. I'm just trying to flip to what he said so I can quote him, quote what he said. So he did say that the bill, but expressed skepticism about citizens' confidence in the electoral process, which you also mentioned earlier. So for you as a member of the civil society, rather than for the lawmakers to extend expend energy on this particular bill and the way it is going, what would you rather they do to strengthen the electoral system in Nigeria and again giving Nigerians the confidence so that issues around voter apathy can be looked into? And how can they also begin to engage other state assemblies at ensuring that this is not only at the federal level, but it is domesticated across states?
Thank you very much. So the reality on the ground is that I think it's just a populist attempt. Some people, they always like to be mentioned in the media, and the only way to be mentioned in the media is to engage in either unproductive or a funny, way of making them to be heard. That is what I see even with this kind of proposal. It's not deep inside even their heart. Because if they are, they should be worried about the worries that Nigerians have been expressing on electoral fraud, electoral, non-transparent in the electoral process, and also mere collapse of the political party system that we all know all over the world. They should also be concerned about the fact that now judiciary has become election awardee. They collect the mandate from someone and allocate it. In fact, in other words, even taking over the role of INEC. So if they are not worried about all this, and they are not worried about the fact that this whole, the cost of running this election and democracy itself in Nigeria is not, matching the dividends of democracy, which ensuring peace, stability, economic prosperity, ensuring that there's equality, ensuring that poverty is squarely dealt with, ensuring that Nigerians have job, ensuring that the dignity and honor of Nigerians is restored. Because right now we are losing all these quality that we were used to, known for, in the community of nation. So if they are not looking at all this and they are only looking at how to jail more Nigerians, who suffer, who are victims of corruption, victims of recklessness, victims of violence, victim of discomfort in this country, and they want to now, on top of it, come up with this, legal framework that will now jail them more, rather than engaging them and making sure that civic education is even more compulsory, ensuring that electoral transparency is compulsory, ensuring that judicial, transparency and honesty is necessary. Then the only one they are looking for is to go and jail more people. I think many Nigerians will revolt against them. In fact, you will even see more decline if you come up with this funny thing. So I think, I want to respectively call on the speaker to withdraw this bill, because this bill is simply not, in the interest of even ensuring electoral, transparency or electoral system that will give Nigerians hope and confidence to participate in the process.
Okay.
Okay, can we have an improvement in the number of people that come out to vote during elections if the House of Reps members should channel their energy towards the promotion of voter education instead of this bill?
Yeah, well, I mean, ideally, this is what, Nigerian is expected of the lawmakers to do. It's not just, coming up with some funny thing that will, seriously make even the proposal or the people that are proposing this legal framework to be, maybe idle in thinking. Many Nigerians have so many issues, even relating to the electoral process, but you now choose to come and to come up with this funny thing. And with due respect, the speaker always come up with some very controversial proposal. At the end of the day, when Nigerians attack him, he will have to withdraw, because he knows that Nigerians cannot take those kind of things. He would do better if he can actually come up with the real reforms that can strengthen our electoral system, that can give confidence on Nigerians, that can actually, deal decisively with the inefficiency of the INEC itself, with the, strengthening of the political parties, with the ensuring that judiciary is not taking away the mandate of true winners, if they do that, and ensuring that people, when they are elected, they are actually passing governance. Right now, as I speak to you, we're supposed to be in the middle of the election tenure, but nothing is going on now in many places except campaign for 2027. So governance is being suspended, but just engaging in campaign at all levels. This is not productive, and this is what I think they should channel their energy to ensure that Nigerians did not continue to see this kind of practice, because it's demoralizing that you have a mandate for 4 years, and in the middle of the mandate, you appear just to be worried about the next election, not delivering even the mandate that you have.
Okay. All right. Auwal, so this bill has been sent to the Committee on Electoral Matters. Peradventure, it scales through and the House of Representatives go ahead to pass this bill. Do you think it is a bill that can be assented to by Mr. President? And if that happens, what do you think, especially when it comes to the violation of the freedom of Nigerians, what do you see happening peradventure this bill gets passed? Do you see Mr. President assenting to this bill?
So the good thing is that this is not coming from the executive; it's coming from
the legislature,
just a private member. So in the National Assembly now, there's a limit at which any private member can scale through. Any bill that comes from the executive, because of the fact that the executive had been able to conquer the legislature, whether for good or for bad, they will pass the bill, if it is coming from the executive. Notwithstanding the Nigerians' resistance or the Nigerians voting against the bill. But once the executive wants it and the National Assembly leadership, will definitely, force it on the rest of the legislature. So that's the good thing. It's not coming from the executive. So which means that. Which means that the bill is not likely going to go anywhere. It may just end up either in the House of Rep, or even when it comes to Senate, the Senate may not consider this, because Nigerians will bully them. Nigerians will tell them that, look, you better go and pay something more productive, than to come up with this particular thing, because you cannot, be thinking of jailing people when you already jail people. You put people in a very miserable, condition because of so many bad, policies and legal framework and implementation and compliance. There are better ways in which you can actually encourage Nigerians to participate. Let them see good things. Let them see, honesty, sincerity, good governance. Let them see less killings. Nigerians, it's no longer a news in Nigeria that you wake up, you hear 100 people die, and yet the leaders are not shaking, they are not worried. Nigerians are facing serious survival issue. To even eat twice, it's a luxury now. So in this context now, you want to come and jail people again. So I think whoever advised the speaker to come up with this bill, I think he wanted to popularize him. He wanted to make him look funny, in the eyes of Nigerians and the world.
All right. Jibala, perhaps your final question for him. All right. Before we wrap up this conversation, how much are also the civil society organizations doing to ensure that Nigerians, have the trust again in the country, and perhaps also build up their confidence on the need for them to also be part of the voting process?
Let us also re-understand the role of civil society. The role of civil society is basically to complement the effort of government. Civil society cannot replace the responsibility of the government. You can only complement a civil society. So therefore, the role that civil society is playing, it will continue, which is, mobilizing, engaging, creating awareness, conducting credible research, putting together a kind of training, capacity building. These are the role that civil society, have been playing and will continue to play to ensure that things are done as strengthened, democracy is strengthened in Nigeria. We do not have the power to compel, or to bring in anything that has to do with illegal thing in this country, because it is not, we don't have that mandate, but we can support government when government comes up with a good thing that is for the interest of Nigerians and the interest of Nigeria as a whole. But we cannot, go beyond the role that we supposed to be playing as civil society. Already, as we are now, many civil society are even, suffering from even resources to embark on the civic education, to create the awareness, to mobilize Nigerians, even to come out, because there's no resources for them to do that. And those ones that, you see them doing the little they could do, they do it out of passion, out of commitment, not because they even have the resources. So this is a huge challenge even for the civil society organizations that you have in the country, because they are dilapidated from having lack of even sometimes skills, sometimes resources, to be able to carry out the work that they are doing.
All right. We'll have to leave this conversation here this morning. Thank you so much, Auwal Musa Rafsanjani, Executive Director, Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, for joining us on the program this morning. We appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Right. Okay, we've been speaking with our guest via Zoom this morning, and of course has lent his voice to this particular conversation. Ajibola, just before we wrap up, I like the fact that, this particular bill, is a private bill from the House of Representatives, and just like he said, it might just be dead on arrival.
I also look forward to a day the lawmakers are also going to pass a bill, either for them to go to jail or get fined if they don't come for plenary sessions.
Okay, all right, that probably will be the day. All right, that's the more to take on this side of the table this morning. We'll take a quick break. When the conversation returns, Adebimpe and Joy will take you through their conversation.